In this video, we are going to integrate CageGeocoder. We are going to see how we can create an account, how we can make some request using Postman app, and how we can get the API's key and all. So basically, before we go ahead, what is an CageGeocoder, right? So CageGeocoder provides the reverse and forward. That means if you are providing latitude to longitude, you can get the complete address, or if you are providing the complete address, you can get the latitude and longitude for that particular address. That is what we are going to do, and the API is RESTful API. We will also see how we can do that. So here are the few steps that I have listed that we are going to perform in this video. That is step 1. We first need to have a free OpenCage account. Why we need to have an account? Because this API requires authentication, which is API key based authentication, and we must need to have access to that account so that we can get an API key. And once we will be able to sign up, we will get the API key, and then we will be testing that using both URL and Postman. And why we will be able to test this using URL, if you have in your mind, I'll tell you in a few seconds here. So let's quickly first create a few free account, and then we will talk about the next two steps. So this is the URL that you need to go is OpenCageData. I'll give you the URL as well. Go to opencasedata.com and then click on this sign up button here. It will give you the option either you wanted to sign up with yourself, with your Google account, or you wanted to sign up with the GitHub account if you have any. If not, you can also provide your information like what your name is, what is your organization, then provide your email, password, and then accept. Prove that you are a human, because nowadays to prevent the spam, all the websites are putting this in captcha here in this sign up form. And once you click on this continue, you will get an email to your email address, whatever you will provide in this email box, and then you need to verify that. After you will be verify, you will be asked to log in, or you directly will be able to log in into the dashboard. So I already have that. I'll just quickly log in with my account that I have. So here is my account, and you can see I am in this URL called opencasedata.com/dashboard. And here, if you see here, I have multiple things like getting started, API keys, account, billing. You no need to worry about the billing because it's a free API. And then the usage, how we are using our API. Okay, so let's click on this API key, and you can see that this is our API key. Okay, we can just click on this API key request, or we can test later on. So if you click on this API key request, it is going to take you to another URL here, and you can see like this is how it is going to work, and this is the URL that it is sending. I will talk about later on how the URL is prepared and what are all the query parameters we need to pass, what all the things we need to take care. Okay, so now we have got this. Scroll on to the top, you can see this documentation section. Click on this API reference. So not even this API, whatever the API you are going to integrate, not only with Salesforce or any other system, the very first step is to get the access and then start reading the API. What is the authentication? The first step is, so the authentication is nothing. If you see here, right on the left hand side, we have the complete document for this API. Click on this authentication, sorry, click on this authentication here, and okay, yeah, we are here in this authentication, right? Now it is saying that OpenCageGeocoder is using a valid API key. That means we have to sign up, we will get the API key, and then we can start using that. As I have already logged in into the system, I can see my API key here, and then we can see rate limiting, we can see free trial usage. So we can make 2500 requests per day as a free trial account. That is too I can say too many requests for us, because we are not going to make that many requests in a single day. And then if we talk about, right, then we have talked about like this is having two kind of request, either forward geocoding or reverse geocoding. So first we will talk about request format, right? So if you see here, we have got request format. Click on request here. Required parameters, it requires one first parameter is key. which is our API key. This is nothing, the key parameter that we have get. So we are getting here key equal to whatever the API key that we have, we can provide here. And then we have another required parameter, which is q. Q is nothing, it's a query parameter. Query parameters, how we can pass this? First thing, if you see here, the query string must be geocoded, a latitude, longitude, or a place name or address. That means we can pass either latitude or longitude, or we can pass place name or address name. Okay. So now we have got this. When using reverse geocoding, the query string should be latitude and longitude. We'll say that latitude, reverse geocoding. Let's talk about that. Reverse geocoding is that we have latitude and longitude. We send the request, we get the complete address. Forward geocoding is that we send the complete address, we get the latitude and longitude. So we are going to test both. We are going to implement both in Salesforce, and we are also going to automate that process. First thing that we see here in this line, you can see the query should be URL encoded. That means whatever the query that we are sending, we must need to encode using a URL encoded, right? So here, if you say here, you should send us, it said non-sky string, like whatever the string that we have, we must need to URL encode that is. So if you see here, right, this is a queue. We got the latitude and longitude. How we can do the URL encode? For now, we are going to do this online. I'll say URL encode online. And in Salesforce, we have a complete class that we can use. I will talk about that class as well. So if you see here, encode, right? This is now, this is the encoded form that we have got. We need to pass this encoding string, right? So we don't need to encode this q and equal, because those are the query parameters. We just need to encode the string that we are passing to our request. That's it. Now we have got this here, that we can pass here. We'll talk about later, right? And then these are the optional parameters. We no need to worry about that. If you want to pass like country ISO code, you can pass like the like IN for India, US for USA, France FR, and you wanted to pass some United Kingdom like ZB. So these are the few codes that you can pass, and then you can say either you wanted to return in a JSON pretty form. That means prettified. You will get the complete JSON. You can see it is like looking like a beautified JSON. If not, it will give you the complete raw data, and then you need to format to see in the URL browser. That's it. There is no much difference when we talk about or when we implement this into Salesforce. Now we have language. We wanted to limit how many records we wanted to get in a single request. All these we have this parameters like pretty means one, beautified JSON is going to be returned. That's what. And we have got this JSON like different response format, right? Either we can say JSON, we can say XML. So how we can get this JSON or XML? So I'll just show you here. If you see, right, and the request here, let me quickly open that. I'll say notes, so I can just show you this request here. So now we have got this, right? And say I'm just putting this up big here. So you can see that this is our base URL. It is saying that api.opencagedata.com, and it is saying that what service we wanted to call, which is geocode, and they have the API which they have released, that is in V1 version 1, and then we have JSON. This is where we specify either we want to get JSON as a response format or XML as a response format. If I make the change as XML here, right, I'll show you it is going to return us XML data. And this is a query format where I'm passing here latitude and longitude, and then we need to pass key, the API key, and then either we wanted to return a beautified form or we wanted to return a simple form. So let's quickly see how it works. Okay, so this is our request that we earlier made. Now we are going to make a new request here. So you can see here we have got XML data here, right? And what actually we need from this, you can see that we have multiple information, many information that we are getting from the system. But what actual we need, by which we can say that this is our address or this is our latitude and longitude. So here is the component that we actually need. If you see in this our browser, right, this component that actually we need here, we can see all the details here, and then under this component we have this formatted as well. Sorry, then we need this formatted address. This is the complete address that we will be getting, and then under this geometry we will be getting this latitude and longitude. So these are three things that we need. Number one, component. Number two, formatted address. Number three, geometry. That is what we need. Now if we remove this pretty, the parameter, the URL parameter that we are sending, see how we are going to get the request. As this is an XML form, it is going to send us the same response. Now let's try to change it to JSON and see what actually it is returning. So now you can see here, right, it is going giving us the response in a raw data form, right, where we are just getting that. And now if I say here, if I pause and pretty the URL that we have, I'm just going to put the complete URL here and then replace that XML with JSON. We have got the error here because this is typo mistake. You can see here, now we are getting this correct. Now you might be wondering why we are able to get the record or get the response whenever we are hitting the URL from browser, right? So first thing is that our authentication is API key. That means we are not sending anything via header. That means anything we are not sending via request header. Everything we are sending using URL parameter. Second thing is that we are making a GET request. There is no POST request and we don't need to pass anybody to the third party system in order to get the response. That is why we are able to get that. So even if you see here, right, I'm just going to put a Google here. I'll say that google.com. Okay, this is something different that I'm opening. I'll just open a new tab here. Okay, this is why we have. Now if I search here something, I say Salesforce, right? I've got the Salesforce. Now if you see, right, in the top you can see there is some URL where this google.com is a base URL for us. Search is a URL, we can say that resource that we are trying to fetch, and then it is saying that q equal to Salesforce. That means query equal to Salesforce. It is again making a GET request to the database system and then giving us the result, whatever the result we are getting here, right? Now what if I say, I can say search find, I can replace find. You can see the error, right, because this URL is not existed. The Google developer have not coded or have not developed any resources for find. That's why we are getting the error. Now let's quickly test this into the Postman as well. Okay, so for that I have a Postman. If you don't have, you can download from the Google. It is available for both Mac and Windows as well, so you no need to worry on that side. So I have just created a request here by clicking on this plus icon, and the same URL I'm going to paste here. Okay, now you can see here parameters. I can see q, whatever the latitude and longitude I'm passing here. I can see key, our API key, pretty format, it is 1 by default, right? And the complete URL is whatever URL we are trying to send. Now if you go to authorization part, there is no authorization because the authorization is taken care by the key parameter in the URL itself. And in the header, there are no headers. These are the hidden headers that are generated by Postman automatically when we send any request. Now if we click on this send request, now you can see here status code is 200. That means our API call is success and we are able to get the response, and what we need is components and then formatted geometry. So this is all we need, right? And this is what called as reverse geocoding. Now if we talk about forward geocoding, right, let's quickly talk about that as well. Now we talked about reverse geocoding, response format. Now we have this forward geocoding, right? Again, they have given us the URL. We just need to test that, and we will also test some URL by putting by our own while we will be using Salesforce for implementation. So I'm just going to open this again. Again, we got the same thing, right? Here we got the components, we got the formatted address, whatever the address we sent in the URL, that is what we are sending. And then the geometry, this is what latitude and longitude we need. So while we will be implementing this in Salesforce, we will be able to see what actually we are passing, either passing latitude, longitude or complete address. So that will not be the confusion from our side. We will be making sure that what we are going to use either forward or reverse, but we will be only using one. Now if we try to test the same, right, in our Postman, so I'm going to create new here Again, the method is get. We talked about get, right? We wanted to get here. I'll show you it will not work for other. It should not. So now if we send here, again we got the 200 and the response that we need. Now let's try to change it to post here and we'll see how it works. Either we are getting this 200 requests, you can see 405 method not allowed because this has not been implemented by the OpenCage API developers. So that is why we are sending this get and then we are getting this request. So that is how you can implement CageGeocoder API, or you can test this. In the next lecture, we are going to talk about how we can implement this into Salesforce and how we can write the code and then update some records to whatever we are getting here. We will talk about how we can pass this response into Salesforce, how we can update the data, everything we are going to talk about into the next lecture. Thank you.